Welcome back to another edition of Let's Play WCW 2000. We are back in the wrestling time machine. It is time for Uncensored 2000. And as you can tell, it's a stacked card with Jeff Jarrett and Ric Flair finally coming to a head, and Scott Steiner once again defending the WCW World Heavyweight Championship against Diamond Dallas Page. Every title in WCW is on the line. The Cruiserweight title, the Hardcore title, the United States title, the World title is on the line, as are the Tag Team and the Television. Every title is going to be defended tonight at Uncensored, and without further ado, let's get to the show. The first match on the show is Dean Malenko in a rematch against the Cruiserweight champion Juventud Guerrera, and Dean Malenko finally gets the victory over the reigning, defending Cruiserweight champion. Dean Malenko starts the show as a new champion. The first championship match ends with Dean Malenko becoming the new Cruiserweight champion. And now we head back, we stick in the ring after a little bit. In reality, you'd go to the announcers and then you'd come back to the ring. You know, the announcers would build up probably Ric Flair and Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner and Diamond Dallas Page, and then we come back to the ring for this, which is the rivalry coming to a head between between the Varsity Club and the Harris Brothers. I'm going to ignore that because I'm going to cancel the turn. And now we head backstage to the commissioner's office, where Roddy Piper is with Norman Smiley, Mike Sanders, and the United States champion Eddie Guerrero. And Roddy Piper says, over the last couple of weeks, you two have been feuding. But I made it clear that I don't want champion versus champion, where we have one champion holding two titles. Because I don't want to reestablish one of the titles like that, where it plays second fiddle to the other. So that's why both of you will be defending your titles tonight. And since you won the feud, Eddie, you will be competing in a singles match. Norman, you're in a triple threat. Both of you will be defending your titles tonight, and I can guarantee you that maybe both of you will not leave the Rose Garden with your titles intact, but that's just how it has to be. So go get ready for your matches. But before the television title, we have to get to the most anticipated hardcore match in the history of WCW's hardcore division, with Bam Bam Bigelow going up against Terry Funk. And Bam Bam Bigelow is victorious against the Funker for one reason and one reason only. I am supposed to be investing in the future. Yes, you may say, oh, Bam Bam Bigelow's not the future. You're right. But Bam Bam Bigelow has been unbeatable this year. What does that mean? Well, that means I have an unbeatable heel. And a veteran. So I can establish a new babyface by having him beat the unbeatable heel. And also, Terry Funk's 55 years old, and I feel like even if I put him over in the hardcore division, that's still like it's the same old WCW. I'm not going to put over the top guy, those type of guys anymore. Well, also there's another reason for it, and you'll see later tonight, but I just felt better about keeping the belt on Bam Bam Bigelow. And who knows, you never know who's going to be joining WCW to compete against Bam Bam Bigelow. You just never know. 'Cause you might be surprised who comes next. But that's beside the point, because we go to the most anticipated segment on this show. Bret Hart, Hulk Hogan, in the ring with Roddy Piper. And if WWE did not have the ownership of the Piper's Pit segment, this would be a Piper's Pit. But this is just considered the commissioner trying to get to the bottom of what's been going on between the NWO 2000 and Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan says that he wants to destroy what he helped build, because it's time to move on from the NWO. And he's going to start at the top, whether Bret Hart wants him to or not. And Bret said, Hulk, you're ignoring two things. Number one, you're ignoring the fact that you're not in your prime anymore. And number two, you're ignoring the fact that you can try to beat the NWO, but you should know better than anybody else that you can't kill the NWO alone. You have to get help. And if you don't, you'll be just like everybody else. You'll fall victim to the NWO, 'cause the one thing that nobody can accept is that it's not just when you're NWO for life. It's when there's WCW. As long as there's WCW, the NWO will exist forever. And if you don't like that, Hulk, well, maybe you could just go home again. From there, I'd let them take the segment themselves, because if Roddy Piper, Bret Hart, and Hulk Hogan can't handle a segment by themselves, nobody can. But that's why I'm giving them the segment, because I know that they can handle it themselves, and they can take care of themselves, and the 82 proves that. So I just wanted to say that, and then I would give them the rest of the segment. And now we move forward with Chronic returning in a big way, because they defeat the Filthy Animals to become the new WCW World Tag Team Champions. That's right, the second of 5 title matches, and it's the second new WCW champion. What does that mean for the rest? Well, you'll have to see what happens in the TV title, United States title, and the World title match. Speaking of the television title match, it happens now with Fit Finlay, Norman Smiley, and Vampiro colliding, and Dave Finlay walks away with the WCW World Television Championship for one reason and one reason only, and that reason is, I thought it was time to take the title off Norman Smiley. And unfortunately, there were really no babyfaces that could challenge Norman, because Vampiro just challenged him one-on-one, and I didn't really want to have Dr. Death Steve Williams come back for a WCW title match after just losing his last match. So that's why I gave a triple threat match and let Finlay jump in, so I didn't have to do heel versus heel. But either way, the third of 5 title matches, and it's the third new champion at Uncensored. And now we move to the next highly anticipated matchup, and it is the losing team must disband between the Harlem Heat and the Outsiders. And it is official. Booker T and Stevie Ray are done. The Harlem Heat must disband. I'm just gonna say this, that the reason why I disbanded Harlem Heat is because Stevie Ray is winding down his career. Booker T is still got untapped potential to be an upper echelon talent and to help with the United States title and the world title. And in doing that, having him be in a tag team, he can't really do that. And I'd rather see Kevin Nash and Scott Hall in a tag team than Kevin Nash teaming up with Diamond Dallas Page. So that's why Booker T and Stevie Ray teamed up, because I'd rather in deciding who would win this match, I decided it based on which team I would want to keep together, and I decided that it would be better off keeping the Outsiders together than Harlem Heat. Now, Booker T sustained a broken wrist, and Kevin Nash got heat from it. Hopefully Booker is not injured, otherwise I'm going to be mad at Kevin Nash. Eddie Guerrero interview with Gene Okerlund backstage. Just to gloss over it, the interview, basically Gene was asking Eddie how did he approach this match, not knowing who his challenger would be. And Eddie said he's a fighting champion, he's always been a fighting champion, and this match is no different, and he's going in with the same attitude, that it doesn't matter who he's facing, it just matters that he's going to win. And Eddie proves that, being the first champion to retain their title tonight. So the fourth title defense for a champion tonight, and Eddie becomes the first champion to retain against Kanyon. Solid match too. I'm actually pretty happy. 69 rating. I'm really happy. Now we move to the next match, and that's Ric Flair versus Jeff Jarrett. And Ric Flair gets the win over Double J Jeff Jarrett. This is the reason why I didn't have Terry Funk win the hardcore title, because I didn't want to have two guys over the age of 50 winning on the same show. And plus, Jeff Jarrett is around the same age as Bam Bam Bigelow, so it's the same concept, but the reason why Jeff lost is because Jeff had been causing problems backstage, and I felt like giving him the win over Ric Flair would be rewarding him, and I didn't want to reward him for causing trouble backstage, so that's the exact reason why I let Ric Flair win instead of Jeff Jarrett. And also, I'm not Eric Bischoff, so I actually have, or I'm not the WCW booking committee, so I actually have respect for Ric Flair and actually want to keep him strong, because I know how important it is to have Ric Flair be strong. And now we move backstage. Scott Steiner and Medeja are with Gene Okerlund and talking up the main event, and how Diamond Dallas Page will be just like everybody else, how he will be the next victim on the list for Big Papa Pump and Big Papa Pump's world title reign. And Scott Hudson is now standing by with Diamond Dallas Page and Kimberly, and Diamond Dallas Page says that it's been a bumpy road. It's been a bumpy road, and I've been out of the picture for over a year. But now I'm back in the title picture, and it's time for me to hold gold once again. And that's gonna happen because Scott Steiner is going to feel the bang. And now we move to the main event. Scott Steiner, Diamond Dallas Page, WCW World Heavyweight Championship match. And Scott Steiner retains the WCW Heavyweight title against Diamond Dallas Page here tonight. But the show, to keep Steiner's dominant run going, as Steiner's just defeated Diamond Dallas Page and the Nature Boy Ric Flair in consecutive months. So, the NWO stays strong, but not only that, Scott Steiner's momentum keeps growing, and his credibility keeps growing, because this is also Scott's first title reign in the WCW, first world title reign in the WCW, so it's his first chance to really lead the company. And he's also one of the first, he is the first since Diamond Dallas Page to win their first world title for the WCW. Because WCW really didn't like having new world champions win the title for the first time. Actually, scratch that. Bret Hart was the last first champion. But that's beside the point, because the show doesn't end here. Because as Scott Steiner is celebrating, Hulk Hogan walks out onto the rampway, but right behind Hulk Hogan, you have people running down. The camera sees Kevin Nash, Jeff Jarrett, Eric Gargiulo, the American Nightmare, Kevin Sullivan is out there, the rest of the Varsity Club are out there, and they're standing in between Hulk Hogan and Scott Steiner. They're standing in between Hulk Hogan and Scott Steiner, keeping Hogan out of the ring and keeping him away from Big Papa Pump. And you hear Tony Schiavone say, "Hogan, Steiner, this is what Hogan meant. This is what Hogan meant. Hogan wants the leader. Hogan wants the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Hogan, Steiner, what's gonna happen next? Find out tomorrow on Nitro. Don't miss it." A 79 final rating, and we increased our popularity in 44 regions. In 44 game regions. What a show. What a show. I think that's the highest increase we've seen in the season thus far. I mean, with, 180, 280s, 380s, with 380s, two segments that were 80s, it was I gotta say, it was a really good show. It was a really good show. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed how well the matches were received, and, the new champions open up new ideas for the titles, including the tag team titles with Chronic. What the future holds for the NWO, you'll find out tomorrow on Nitro. But I want to hear from you. What did you think of the booking of the show? Do you like the fact that there are new champions in WCW? And who would you like to see challenge for the titles next? And the last thing I want to ask is, Hogan versus Steiner, what do you think happens next? Let me know down in the comment section below, because as always, feedback is more than welcomed and appreciated. But if you don't want to leave a comment, you can always leave a like, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this that you can only find right here at Wrestling Express. Till next time, later.